Countdown. We are, in fact, live. Hello, I'm Willy Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. Sorry I wasn't able to be here yesterday. I mentioned this a little while ago that you might be seeing slightly a little bit, just a little less of me around. I'm not giving up the video channel or anything like that. It's just that I have things I have to do. I work graveyard shift and I just need to do things like exercise and things of that nature to enhance enhance my personal health for the better. But enough about that jibber jabber right now. I want to talk about what I think what's going to transpire in the near future. Right now, there is a frenzy going on, seemingly drumming up support for war. And it's a little disconcerting because we don't learn our lessons. And I don't want people to think that I'm being soft on the invasion of Ukraine. It sucks when another country attacks another country. It's not anything that should be encouraged or cheerlead or anything like that. But, it's not like the United States doesn't do this shit at will. Why is it okay? Why is it okay for the United States to attack a country, but not okay for another country? It's not okay when another country does it. That's kind of the point right there. We get all upset about the prospects of this country or that country having nukes, and they could use it irresponsibly. Remember, only one country used a nuke. It was the United States. And the argument was to end the war in World War II. That was their argument. We already experienced a limited nuclear war in the last century in 1945. And I hope to God that would never, ever, ever happen again. And I'm hoping that at the, I'm not going to say best, the worst case scenario is World War III, which means nuclear war. That is absolutely the worst case scenario. Hundreds of millions, if not billions, several billion people being, exterminated in a few short hours or within a day. Well, actually probably within a year, because there's an aftermath with the nuclear winter, and it's going to affect countries and societies that were not actually involved with the nuclear weapons exchange, battles that takes place. And we really, really need to consider the ramifications of rattling the sabers too much. Because, honestly, at the end of the day, you don't want this. And honestly, that's the worst case scenario. Unfortunately, the best case scenario is a new Cold War. I don't want a Cold War, but I'm saying if we don't nuke each other to death, probably it will be, suffering from societal anxiety on all sides about the prospects of nuclear war, because we have bad people from all these countries and from all sides, and there's not a good guy in this scenario. But I hope to see something. I hope to see a resurgent anti-war movement but this time focusing on eliminations of nuclear arms. It's an idea worth revisiting. Um, and people were made fun of, back in the 70s and early 80s with the movement to have a freeze on nuclear weapons. Of course, it makes sense to stop manufacturing more nukes, and with the hope of dismantling the ones we do have. But unfortunately, there are people that common sense and people being rational gets thrown out of the window. And I look forward to a future anti-war movement. But I will make a prediction about this anti-war movement. Whereas, for many years, most anti-war movements been in America, the liberal left, ranging from mainstream center-left progressives all the way to the radical left. But this time, I think you'll see the same people on the traditional right, the neocons, for example. They're going to be wanting to rattle the sabers. So you'll have the neocon Republicans doing this. You'll have the corporate Democrats who are like the Democrats' version of the neocon Republicans. They're going to be rattling sabers too, and they're going to be rattling sabers. And while they argue over social issues and culture war bullshit, they're going to be united by real shit like war across halfway around the world. And so you got to worry about that. But also, the optimistic side is that there will be an anti-war movement in response, and this time it will be less partisan. I predict that. So, as I said, back in 2007, 2007, 2008, there was a lot of protesting going on. I was at these rallies almost every other weekend, and I saw a strange hybrid of people, lefties, and I saw libertarians. I saw paleo conservatives, and everybody had enough of this bullshit. The so-called war on terror, the invasion of Afghanistan, the invasion of Iraq, and just sabling, and how much the world was made less safe during the Bush years. Donald Trump got a few things right in 2016 when he was debating Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Jeb Bush on the Iraq War, where you saw the Republicans showing their true colors in the audience. One of the few times Donald Trump was correct, they were booing at him. Well, this time, as I said, I hope to see a real anti-war movement take place, because, again, you'll have your predictable neocon Republicans and your corporate Democrats singing Kumbaya as they tell each other to fuck off on social issues and culture war bullshit. But there will be an anti-war movement, too. And I saw it in Congress back then with Dennis Kucinich on the left and Ron Paul on the right. And actually, even in recent years, with the arms sales to Saudi Arabia, the people who've been trying to put a stop to it, ranging from Rand Paul and people like Rand Paul and Mark Lee on the right, and people like Bernie Sanders on the left. That's in the U.S. Senate, of course. And again, this sort of thing just needs to come into, basically needs to be addressed, because again, we're crying about a genocide. And there was a bloody invasion of another state, Russia doing this to Ukraine, but not jack shit's being said about Yemen, and not jack shit's being said about Somalia, other places around the world, and it's kind of fucked up. It shows you where people are, mindset is, and you're going to hear a lot of propaganda about this war coming up, and you're going to hear very little about the Avos battalion and the glorification of Stepan Bandera, who was a Nazi sympathizer and is considered a national hero in the Ukraine. The media will cover that shit up, and we need to be there to counter all the narratives and propaganda that's going to be funnel our way through the airwaves of Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, and them trying to tell us that we need to go in there and by godly, if we got to pay a couple of bucks extra per gallon on gas, would it be worth it? And that's another thing right there. The pipeline that they complain about, we're just the world's leading producer in oil around the world. There's no reason why our gas prices should be this high when basically, the excess oil is being sold out of the country. That's where they're making their profits. And we need to ban this shit. Again, I personally would nationalize the oil companies, but I know that that's a hard sell for the American people. But let's go and at least work on trying to put a leash on these predators. The price gouging they're doing. They're doing this just because they can make record profits, and we need to stand up to them. I mean, nobody's willing to stand up against the various institutions that are hurting us, oppressing us. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's not even what the oil companies are doing. It's not even good for our so-called free enterprise system. That's a laugh. So anyway, just think about what I'm saying here, and if anybody wants to tell you, that you're crazy for going to a protest, or if you go and want to question this war and question the military-industrial complex and their so-called wisdom of the State Department and what have you, and people are going to sit there and try to say, well, you're being treasonous, you're being pro-Putin. This is the same shit they did to us 20 years ago with the Iraq War, and all of us that protested against the Iraq War, we were fucking correct at the end of the day. But back then, we were maligned, made fun of, and smeared. What are you, pro Saddam Hussein? Why don't you support our troops? Fact is that I do. I support the troops so damn much that I want their asses here safe at home and not put in harm's way halfway around the world. And I want a diplomatic solution to this that does not involve ground troops or droning or any kind of a military response. One that does not involve economic sanctions, because economic sanctions does not hurt. And I hate the term oligarchy because it's not used. It's kind of used too casually, and it's all borderline meaningless. But I want to use it anyway. The oligarchs in any society where sanctions are being imposed are not being harmed. They love this shit because it empowers them. It empowers them, and by making people miserable. And so, I kind of think that it was ridiculous. All these sanctions and everything. You never know what kind of backlash we could get out of this and all of that. And it's ridiculous what we're going through. But anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts right now this morning. We have a chat line here. Good morning, Fireball Russ. And yep, I know who Fireball Russ is. And the story about Ben the Bomb Mate. That was I told this person about the about what happened when I went to England in 2006. I had a sports jacket on and with a peace symbol, and I was walking in East London, and two local Brits came up to me, looked at me, and said, "Oh, ban the bomb, mate, ban the bombs." Ban the bomb was basically was a slogan that was used by the campaign for nuclear disarmament in England. And if you don't know about the campaign for nuclear disarmament, one person who became the leader of the British Labour Party in the 1980s was Michael Foote, and I am going to show y'all a picture of Michael Foote here. Hold tight. Don't say I didn't warn you. The man looks like Bernie Sanders if he was 100 years old. Here we go. All right. Michael Foote. Well, Michael Foote basically was the leader of the Labour Party, but for many years as a Labour MP, he got elected, I believe, in 1945 when Clement Attlee's government came into power. And by the 1950s and 60s, he became very concerned about nuclear weapons. So he was always making speeches against nuclear weapons, sponsored by the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. In 1983, the British Labour Party sponsored the British Labour Party Campaign Manifesto, which was one of the most radical socialist manifestos in modern times in the UK. And sadly, Margaret Thatcher crushed Michael Foote and the Labour Party almost to the point where the Labour Party was almost a third. They were almost a third party, because sweeping renationalization of industry, things of that nature, withdrawal from NATO, scrapping nuclear arms, that sort of thing. It was kind of maligned, and the right-wing press in the UK call it the longest suicide note in history. So anyway, thank you, Fireball Russ, for me bringing that around. So anyway, we have here VLX11387. One side is known to lie to us and to cover up, whitewash for neo-Nazis. The other is Russia. Yeah, and I keep bringing that connection. There are neo-Nazis in the Ukrainian government. And for some reason, people seem to dismiss that. And they shouldn't. Fireball Russ says, Fox News, Clinton News Network, MSDNC. All true, by the way. Fox as in fake. And the Clinton News Network, that's been forever, and that's still a thing. MSDNC, for damn sure. Let's see. Dirtbag Leftist says, good morning. Good morning to you, Dirtbag Leftist. Let's see. Good morning, says Fireball Russ. Yep. And right now, I am going to get plenty of sleep because I need to do that. So if you all like what you heard, press like and comment. And before I do, I'm sure y'all will eventually notice, but this is not meant to be disrespectful, but because we have a movement that died, because we have horrible politicians that attack a good man and prevented a good man from getting the Democratic nomination in 2016 and 2020. I doubt he's going to run in 2024. Don't know what the hell's going to happen. I'm intending to vote green in 2024 unless somebody really impresses me. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I putting this upside down because Bernie's been he's been a mentor to me in a lot of ways, and still is. But the movement is gone, and right now it looks like Clintonism wins out, and unfortunately, that's how it is right now. And I'm hoping that maybe something can fight effectively against Clintonism, because Clintonism is a cancer to the Democratic Party, and it's been a big drawback for the left. But anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, we'll comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and let me reiterate why you need to do this, because a lot of independent content makers on YouTube are being shadow banned because they were considered borderline content. And I believe in independent media. A strong independent media is going to be what it takes for truth tellers to talk to the people, because you're not going to get it from corporate news and corporate media. You got to have independent media and be loud about it. And the thing about it is, my channel, I'm not saying my channel's awesome and great and wonderful, but I should have more subscribers than what I have right now. So I am asking for, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, and help not just my channel, but help all the other channels too that's out there. So that's my little spiel right there. And so anyway, until next time, there's a class war to wage. And remember, we're all Julian Assange. Okay, so right now, I end this for today, and we will talk soon. Take care.